Hey guys, Marco here, welcome back to another lesson. Today we're going to talk about chords. I'm going to show you how we can borrow a chord from a different scale just to make the chord progression a little bit more interesting. In fact, in the chord progression that I am playing right now, I'm using a beautiful dominant chord and a diminished chord. Now, the diminished chord is mainly used in jazz music, but today we're gonna kind of push ourselves. We're gonna try to use this chord in a pop chord progression, played with the acoustic guitar and the finger-picking technique. So we're gonna take it step by step. You can get the tab, check my Patreon page, and subscribe to this channel if you want to keep up with all the upcoming lessons. Now, let's have a close up and let's get started. Now guys, the chord progression is very simple. We have G major, B7, E minor, D major, and C major. But we're going to play the chords like this. Now, if you know a little bit about music theory, you probably know that in G major, the third chord, which is the B, is supposed to be a minor chord and not a dominant 7th chord. In fact, in G major, we have as the tonic chord, obviously the G, then the second chord is A minor, then we have a B minor, which is the third chord, the C major, the D major, the E minor, the F sharp diminished, and back to the G. So how can we change the B minor to the B7 chord? Well, we are borrowing the B7 from the E harmonic minor scale. So we're changing the function of the third chord, which is the B minor, into a dominant chord because the B7 resolves beautifully to the E minor chord. And so we can change the B minor, going to the E minor, into a B7 going to the E minor. Now the reason why I say that I can borrow this chord from the E harmonic minor scale is because when I play this chord as a B dominant 7, I'm just quickly modulating to the E minor key. So I'm treating this one as now the 5th degree of the E minor. And the reasons why we're using the E harmonic minor scale is because the E harmonic minor scale is E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D sharp, and E. So this D sharp is actually the note that we change between the B minor and the B7. In fact, if we analyze the B7 chord, we're going to have the note B, which is the root note, the D sharp, which is the major third, we're going to have the note A, which is the minor 7, and the B again on the B string open, which is the root note again. And the top E string, the fret number 2, is the F sharp, which is the 5th. So we're borrowing this chord from the E harmonic minor scale, and it sounds beautiful. Now enough of music theory, let's just play the chord progression. The first chord is G major, just the low E string, fret number 3. And I'm arpeggiating the chord on string 6, 4, 3, and 2. Now the second chord is a B7, you want to put down the whole thing, which is starting on the string number 5, you have 2, 1, 2, open, 2. And you just want to pick each single string. So I have 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now the E minor. Beautiful progression, E minor and D major. So I'm playing the low E string and the top E string fret number 3, B string, and the E string again, then the D major. So I'm playing D string and E string fret 2, G string fret 2, and the E string open. And then I just slowly arpeggiate the C major 7 chord, 3, 2, and then open strings. Now the second time I play this chord progression, I play the chord in a slightly different way. So now it's still the same chord progression, but I play the chords differently. So I have the G, so 6, 4, 3, and 2, and then on the second string I play the fret number 1 and 3, and then from fret 3 I slide all the way up to the fret number 8. And I'm playing a beautiful dominant chord. It's still like a B dominant chord, but it's a flat 13 chord. So I slide all the way up to the fret number 8. Then I play the low E string, fret number 7, and the G string, fret number 8, B string again, and B string, fret number 7. So, and then the bass note. Now I have the E minor chord, D, and the C. So the E minor I'm playing like this on the B string, fret number 8, simultaneously with the low E string, E string open, and the B string, fret number 10. I slide to the fret number 7 with a little finger, and this is already a D major chord. So I'm playing the B string, fret 7, D string open, G string, fret number 7, and the E string open. And then the C major 7, we're only gonna play the root note, the A string, fret number 3. So as you can see, guys, borrowing a chord from a different scale doesn't necessarily mean that we have to play the chord always the same. In fact, the second time I developed the chord and played a dominant 7, but not in its basic shape, but a dominant 7 flat 13, which is a beautiful chord. So you can experiment with the same chord in different positions. Now the B section is slightly different chord-wise, but we're still considering the B chord to be obviously a dominant chord. And so for this reason, we can actually also play a diminished chord. So the chord progression sounds like this. Now I'm playing an E minor chord. It's like a power chord. A string, fret 7, D string, fret 9, and the G string open. And I have 5, 4, 3, 5, 4, 3, 5, 4. Okay? It's 8 movements. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Now the second chord is a beautiful D sharp diminished, okay? Now the D sharp diminished is just like a B dominant 7 chord with the flat 9. We're not gonna go too into details in like just music theory wise, but it's just like if I play a B7 chord but with the flat 9. And so we have this beautiful diminished chord which is played like this. You have the A string, fret number 6, and the D string, fret number 7, and the G string open. You have the same finger picking pattern. Beautiful chord. The next one is a G major chord, which is played just like an E major shape all the way up to the fret number 5. So I have A and D string, fret 5, and the G string, fret number 4. I'm only plucking 3 strings, so. Now another diminished chord. This one has the same shape as this one, but it's played, like just with the G string open, the A string fret number 4, and D string fret number 5. So then we finish the chord progression with the C major 7 chord, which is just the A string fret 3 and the D string fret number 2, and I'm just arpeggiating the chord. So it's 5, 4, 3, and then 2 and 1 together. And I go back to the same D sharp diminished shape, which is 6, 7 open. And and I start again. Now the second time I'm gonna play the C major 7, the same finger picking pattern, and then I'm gonna pause on the root note, and then a beautiful D sus4. So it's 5 and 4, so A string fret 5 and D string fret 4, and the G string open, and I go back to the G. So as you can see here, we are borrowing the B dominant 7 chord, but we also using a substitution of this chord with the diminished chord. Okay, now things get a little bit more difficult when you want to use the diminished chord, because they have such a you know, just particular sound, and so you can't really play with these chords, you can't really use them everywhere. In this example, the diminished chord works beautifully, and so I think it's a really interesting way to really, you know, spice up the chord progression and make it more interesting. So that's it, guys. You can then go back to the G major, the B7, and the E minor, C major 7, and you can maybe finish with the D sus4 and a G major. So a beautiful way to borrow a chord from a different scale and, you know, just spice up a chord progression. Enjoy this lesson, and I'll see you next time.